Hello, thank you so much for inviting us into your homes. We're delighted to be there, and we have a really interesting guest today. His name is Steve Brockelman, and he's from out California way, and he'll be telling you what he does. And to my right, making a return visit, is Malin Moore.
By popular demand.
Yes, by popular demand, and we would like to have John Burgess and our viewing audience pay attention to the coffee table. It no longer looks like a skating rink. We have a beautiful and very tasteful arrangement there. A growing plant with a few little genuine plastic flowers. So there we have it. Good morning to you, or good afternoon, or welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
You are visiting Malin, and you do something very interesting out in Hollywood, right?
I'm
California.
Director of Promotion and Advertising for Norman Lear for Tandem Productions.
Norman Lear, and of course, I guess he is a household word name for sure. We all know, I guess the best of all would be All in the Family.
Yes.
All those other great productions. Name some of your other productions.
Well, we have different strokes on. Tandem has done Jefferson's, Good Times, One Day at a Time. Coming up this fall, we have the Baxters. Norman is working with Alex Haley on a very special project called Kings of the Hill, which will go on the air next March on CBS.
Will that be a series, or is it a for TV, a very special?
It's going to start as a
miniseries
TV movie miniseries, followed by 6 one-hours, and then becomes a regular series.
Oh, that's great.
And it's about 2 boys, a black boy and a white boy, growing up in the Depression South. And a lot of the problems that they go through in that period of time, in that part of the country, that are relevant to exactly what we're going through today.
Now, you told me that, for instance, All in the Family, this was just a little bit of a takeoff on Norman Lear's own life.
Very close to Norman's life. Norman describes his childhood as living in a household where everyone lived at the top of their lungs. And his father was a second-generation Russian Jew, very poor family, in Connecticut. And Norman's father worked in garages, sold vacuum cleaners, that sort of thing. He told his wife to stifle.
Oh, I like that.
A very recognizable word.
Yes, I like that.
And he told Norman that he was the laziest white kid that he had ever met. And Norman's first job in New York was, he had a small company selling novelty ashtrays. That's Norman Lear's beginning.
The kind that say Souvenir of New York?
That kind of thing. Little snow globes.
Oh, great.
Yes, the wonderful thing. And he moved to Los Angeles and was selling furniture door to door.
Now, some famous people and well-known people, celebrities, business and in the entertainment field, are very difficult. Is Norman Lear difficult?
The most delightful man I have ever met.
That's great.
Truly. Truly considerate, kind, warm, giving. He tried to construct his company. He started the company in 1959 with another producer named Bud Yorkin. They formed Tandem Productions. They called it Tandem Productions because they like to think of themselves as 2 men riding a bicycle up a very steep hill. It was slim in those days. And he's tried to build his company around people that work together well and care for each other, and it makes it quite a nice family. What
was his first big hit on television?
All in the Family was truly his first big hit. He'd done about 6 movies, I guess, in the 60s.
Excuse me just a minute, Steve. We'll have time here for a little message from our sponsor, and then I want to know not only about Norman Lear some more, but also how you met Malin Moore over there. We'll be back in just a moment. Thank you. And I want to know how you met Malin.
Malin and I met when we were about 13, 14 years old in Wichita. We were in junior high school.
Yeah, went to school together. From junior high school on through high school, and a little bit of college, and then you left town and I left town.
We were both run out of town, if the truth be known.
And then you went to New York, and you have been an actor in road companies and also on soaps, right?
On Love of Life and Edge of Night.
What sort of a role did you play?
Harry High School, the cleanest possible kid on the block.
Clean cut.
As a matter of fact, that's why I was fired from Love of Life.
Oh, because you...
In the context of the story, all of the children in the show, all of the teenagers, were getting involved in drugs, and they were stealing from their parents' medicine chests. And at a story conference one day, the head writer, very stern woman, looked up from her script, and she looked across the room at me and pointed a bony little finger, and she said, "I know why this isn't working. He's too clean."
Aha!
So much for that show.
So you should thank that old mama for...
So I shuffled off to Edge of Night and worked in a grocery store where everyone could be clean and
Edge of Night, you were a grocery store person?
Yes.
Uh-huh, I see. And then you went, you had your own ad agency, and it was for radio productions?
That's correct.
Any TV productions in that?
No, I just did radio.
TV productions are hard to do. For instance, the commercials that we see and love, you know, the one with the or Doritos, those cost thousands of dollars to do, don't they?
Often hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Hundreds of thousands,
Yes.
So that's why you have to be a big company to do those, don't you?
Sometimes often $250,000 is not unreasonable for a 60-second commercial.
Holy socks. Malin, did you ever do any commercials? Oh, you told me one.
Yeah, we were talking about
Pizza
that.
Hut.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that they can spend that much money on one commercial. But then when you figure out how much their budget is for how many times that commercial will run on the air, it's a drop in the bucket. It really is.
So then after you were in soap operas, you had your company there, and then what lured you to the West Coast?
I did a series of radio commercials, some movie trailers for Technicolor. And they have a post-production video facility in Los Angeles called Vidtronics. They hired me in New York, moved me to Los Angeles 10 days later, just dropped everything and ran for the sunshine. And I was at Vidtronics 3 years as director of promotion. Then started my own advertising agency, full service in San Francisco. Was there 2 years and did some work for Tandem.
You're too young to have picked up a wife along the way.
No wife.
No wife, so it's
Yep.
easy to go. Have suitcase, car, will travel.
That's it.
That's great. Now, out in California, you had your own agency again.
Yes.
And how did Norman Lear attract you?
There are really two companies that I wanted to work for desperately. One was Norman Lear, and the other was Mary Tyler Moore. I think they're the finest independent production companies in the country.
If you had gone out to apply to them in any way, could you have been successful, do you think?
I think it took the transition of going from Vidtronics, which was strictly a post-production facility, to advertising so that I could sell myself back to the Los Angeles market as I would sell another product. That was the plan, and it seemed to work.
So now exactly what you do for Norman Lear?
Well, I write radio spots for our shows, cut the video spots, edit them, do voiceover, design press kits, and our trade advertising. I started an in-house agency for Tandem about 9 months ago, and we've billed $750,000 in media space alone in just that period of time.
That's just great.
So it's growing very rapidly. It's very, very exciting.
And you use your own voice whenever possible.
Whenever possible.
Brings out the old, of course, the residuals are great too, right?
It's very helpful.
Ah, yes. Excuse me just a moment, Steve, and we'll have messages from our sponsors, and then we'll be back to more conversation with Steve and Malin Moore. Steve, what's coming up in the fall for Tandem Productions, Lear Tandem Productions? Anything exciting? Oh, you told me about the Baxters. What's that story about?
The Baxters is very interesting, and this is the first time in the history of television that entertainment for prime time has been coupled with public affairs. And the setup is that the first 15 minutes of what is a situation comedy that rapidly becomes a situation drama, dealing with very sensitive topics, such as teenage alcoholism, rape and marriage.
This is the Baxters?
This is the Baxters.
Well, how did you get the name the Baxters? I thought it'd be a family sitcom.
There is one, the family is the Baxter family, and it's the same family every week. Mr. and Mrs. Baxter and their 2 daughters.
You're going to go through brain tumors and all those things?
Very.
Amnesia?
Nothing quite as glib as amnesia. It's considerably more serious than that.
Oh, gosh.
The plot builds to a climax 15 minutes into the show, and the show ends without resolving the problem.
Oh, I've got...
And each station that runs the show has a studio audience, and they talk about how they would like to see the show resolved in terms of how would you like your children to see this on television? How would it be acceptable for them? In terms of drama, what would be correct? How do you feel? Do you think it was a real situation?
It's something new, isn't it?
It's very new. It's sold now in 40% of the country. And it was sold on the basis of a pilot that Rue McClanahan did. It's, I think it's going to be very successful.
Any well-known actors?
We're final casting right now. It goes into production late in July.
Now, when you did All in the Family, you touched on subjects in All in the Family that were very, very new, and prior to this particular time, they had been verboten, right?
Yes. As a matter of fact, All in the Family was first sold to ABC TV. And they got the first script from Lear, and they said, no, we can't run this without editing.
Is that Mr. Silverman?
I don't know who was running ABC then. That was 1971. Who would that have been?
It could have been, or I think he was there in
Well,
71.
who finally took a chance on it?
CBS picked it up, and they said they would give it a try, running a disclaimer at the beginning and at the end, saying that we're not totally responsible
He
for
is
this.
super bigot, isn't he?
Yes. And the first year it won 3 Emmys. And at the Academy Awards in 1972, I'm sorry, the Emmy Awards in 1972, Johnny Carson was hosting. And he opened the show by saying, "Welcome to an evening with Norman Lear." And everyone thought that was quite a chuckle. And that year, All in the Family won 7 Emmys.
My very favorite show on All in the Family was the one with Sammy Davis Jr.
That was a wonderful
That
episode.
was a very, very fine show. You get to meet all of the people that we just hear and know about. Johnny Carson, would I like him if I met him?
I've never met Johnny Carson.
He just comes across to me as a little arrogant, and yet when I see him with old people, sometimes he gets some of the really old actresses on. There's one that's close to 90 now. He is so gentle and so compassionate, so maybe I would like him. Did you like Alan King?
I detested Alan King. He'll say it everywhere.
I know you traveled with him.
The man with the
I've heard
cigar
this
is
story.
very, very mean.
Very mean, okay. Who else do you work with that you find enchanting, or they won't see this, really rotten?
Really rotten? Very few really rottens, actually.
How about Mary Tyler Moore? Is she really nice?
She is a delight. A
And her
delight.
husband?
Yes. Grant Tinker is marvelous.
And, another one that I like, won so many awards. The girl with hair like mine, looks like me. I look like her.
Bonnie Franklin.
Oh, no, I'm trying to...
Perfect, yes.
Oh, now who is she? Just a minute and I'll do that commercial, but I can't think of what... Big.
Did she ever say crystalline beds of cracked
She does
ice?
this. She does this. Carol Burnett, yes.
Burnett.
Yes.
Is she nice?
Wonderful lady.
Oh, good.
Terrific
Okay,
professional.
now we'll have a message from our sponsor. Malin said to ask you about Elizabeth Taylor.
Yes, when I first started at Tandem, my first project was to package Sanford & Son for syndication, for reruns. And the first order of duty there is to watch every single episode of Sanford & Son, which I accomplished in about 2.5 weeks.
How many was that?
About 245 episodes. And one morning, it was a Saturday morning, I was at the studio red-eyed and very weak, drinking coffee and watching Red Fox, and I heard a giggle at the door. I was at my desk taking notes. And I looked up, and it was Elizabeth Taylor. She was coming in to do return engagement. And out of makeup, and she was looking through, and she said, "Would it bother you terribly if I came in and watched a few minutes of that? That's my favorite show."
What isn't
And
that?
it bothered me terribly. I kneeled, and she came in. We spent a couple of hours.
Does she look pretty?
Lovely, yes. And so folksy, charming,
She is really friendly, huh?
very friendly.
Really nice. That's great. That's great. We have only a couple of minutes here now. Any other little pearls of wisdom about big old, what is it, Tinseltown? Is that what we call it?
Tinseltown.
Yeah, that's the thingamabob.
Only that it's so nice to get away from Tinseltown for a while.
Well, he was talking about how much work he does. I mean, he does just work incredible hours.
Do you really?
He works more than I do, Lynn.
You'd work long hours.
Oh, well, nothing compared to what he does. And he called on the phone last week before he came down here, and this was a very last-minute trip, and said he was just exhausted and had to get away and wanted to come someplace where he could just be away from all of the California hubbub and the smog and everything, and he found it.
Naples to
Do
me
you like
is...
Naples?
I love Naples. This is the 4th time I've been here. And Naples to me is like a giant Valium. It's just relax.
Isn't that
it's
nice
delightful
that
here.
you would say so? Well, we're going to be looking forward to you in the fall, and we'll try to remember the name of Stephen Brockelman, Stephen Lynn Brockelman, in fact, and we'll listen for your beautiful voice, which is not any better than Malin Moore's.
Certainly not.
We kind of love our Malin Moore here. The other day when he was on, people wondered what he looked like, and somebody said it looked like he had taken his mustache, picked it off the table, and put it on like this. So we had you back by popular request to let people know that that's really you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably John Burgess that said that, wasn't it?
Probably so. We have a critical audience here. It's been so nice having you, Steve, and I hope you find fun things to do while you're here in Naples. Just eat and relax and enjoy yourself, huh?
It's the best of the best.
Oh, that's good. And we don't have any problem with gas, so you can put a few gallons in and tool around and look at our beautiful beaches.
In my car.
In Mayor's
Yes,
car.
in Mayor's car.
Yeah, which gets so many
He made me
miles.
post bond to drive it out.
Oh, really? Oh, yes. No one...
He's known me too long.
I'm surprised he doesn't put a cover on it out here, that big, beautiful black car. Hope you have a lot of success in your new fall ventures out there.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here and meet you.
And we'll be watching for the Lear Tandem Productions. And thank you so much. Thank you, Malin, for being here. Thank you, Steve Brockelman. We'll see you at another time on the Lynn Bailey Show.
You've been watching The Lynn Bailey Show, Naples' galabout town with things to do, places to go, and people to meet. The Lynn Bailey Show is seen each Tuesday night at 7:35 and each Thursday at 1:30. Another exclusive color studio presentation of CableVision 9. Lynn Bailey Show furnishings by Rhodes Furniture Fashions. Be sure to be watching for the next edition of The Lynn Bailey Show.